Hey guys, I'm Rihanna
And I'm Francis
of
of
Financially
Financially Flair.
Flair.
So we just started a blog, um, Financially Flair, and we talking about anything relating to money. And we thought it would be helpful to start this series where we have like a weekly roundup on the things that we write on the blog and to actually give you a perspective behind the scenes and also give you the opportunity to really understand where we're coming from and to actually get everyone engaged, and that way we can all get the best out of it. And so this is our first series, and it's actually in relation to our first blog post, which was about our first money memory. And I'll let Rihanna take on from here, talking about her money memory.
The importance of even diving into the root of where your money memory stems from, it's important because it helps you understand your money habits as an adult. I know for me, I grew up in a household where I saw money being exchanged because I had parents that owned businesses. And I saw money being exchanged. I saw people buying things, and I grew to understand that money could be used for purchasing things. We like buying items and things of that nature. I've been very used to that, and so as I grew into an adult, I love shopping. I love just the art of shopping, period. Anything that deals with it. And so it definitely created an issue for me in terms of getting, accumulating a lot of debt because I love to shop. And so my money memory is rooted in like business and seeing money being exchanged. Even my grandparents owning a farm and like selling eggs and things like that. This was something that I grew up around. And so to grow into an adult, understanding that money is a tool, but then using that tool kind of like against myself and not even recognizing that that was my money memory. And so what was yours?
Um, I think mine was more rooted in fear and the fact that I never had enough. Growing up, there were times where there was no money. You really actually didn't know where your next meal was going to come from, and that's the reality. And so you grow up with this scared mentality that even though you're making money, you have this fear that it's not going to be enough. At times it can get really tricky because even though you are making money and you feel like finally I can make my own money, psychologically behind everything else, you still think, wow, am I really making this money? Like, is it a trick? Is it actually going to be enough to support me? And so you constantly in this fear of wondering if you're going to make it to next month or you're going to have enough. And that, I think, um, when it comes to money, it can be very detrimental because you are always thinking and you can almost become a hoarder, and you can instantly want to think about what you want to keep or get and not want to give because you scared that if you give, then you're not going to have any. And so I think understanding that psychologically, and I think I say this for the both of us, understanding what our triggers were,
Mm-hmm.
what made us do the things we did, like going back, diving, and digging deep into ourselves, actually made us better. It was hard to face, like Rihanna said earlier. So obviously she loved the shopping. I didn't. Not that I wouldn't want nice things,
I
but
would drag him with me.
I was more, you say, conscious about it. I understood what the money was going to be used for.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't just going to make a decision just because I had the money.
Mm-hmm.
I had to justify everything. And it can be great at times, but at times too, it can be very bad. And I think that's why we are such a good team
Yeah.
because we balance each other out. And there are times where I want to hold off and she brings me to the awareness that, hey, this is the now,
Yeah.
let's do this, you know. And there are times that she also wants to go all the way out, and I'm like, okay, hold on,
Let's come
can we
back.
really afford this?
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at it in a bigger picture. Like, is it something we are really going to be able to afford in the long term? So I think that has been the struggle and the back and forth in terms of how we manage our money as a whole.
Yeah, I think I want to talk a little bit more about the balance because you definitely balanced me in terms of helping me keep my spending at a minimum, like really reducing it.
Yeah.
And whereas you kind of helped me plan for the future, and I kind of helped you reel back into like, we also need to live now. And so I think it's important that you spoke about that when you grew up in a situation like you did, it can be easy to kind of hoard money. And so you're always thinking about the future and having money for the future. So you may never want to spend the money you have now. And that's, I mean, that's not a life. You
Yeah.
understand? Because it's not guaranteed. Your future isn't necessarily guaranteed. It doesn't mean you shouldn't save for it, but it's not necessarily guaranteed either. And I'm always super aware of that. Um, and so, how did we know that something was wrong, right? I think for me, when I had realized that I was in debt, like not student loan debt, not like debt from a mortgage, none of that. It was just consumer debt. I was going to Forever 21 on a like bi-weekly basis when I got paid. And this was the first time that I ever had a job where I could buy things for myself in this way. So I was paying for my apartment on my own. I had my own car. I had my own job. I was working nights, but I was making a decent amount of money straight out of college. And so that in the hands of someone with a money memory like me, man, I was in the mall. I'm telling you, like, this is before I met him, but like twice a week, like every time I got paid, it was just constant. And it wasn't even that I needed things, I just enjoy shopping. I enjoy being in stores. And I was single and I lived alone and I didn't really have many friends. And so that was how I spent my time going out to eat, going to the movies. I just pleased myself in that way. I just did things that I wanted to do, and a lot of things that I wanted to do involved shopping. Um, so it's it definitely affected me when I realized, wow, I have like $15,000 worth of debt, and I couldn't tell you what I bought. It's not like I had bought like this significant, like a car or like this significant one purchase. No, it was just consumerism. It was just me buying things. That's it. And so that was kind of like, I don't even know if that was a wake up call for me, because honestly, when I met you, I think that was the first time like I had somebody like actually ask me about it and talk to me about like just spending in general. And I want to kind of back up here. It's not that I didn't have family that would like talk to me. In fact, one of my aunts would really counsel me about money, and so it's not that I didn't have the tools in the toolbox. I didn't know how to use them. It was just kind of like information, but I wasn't putting them to use. And I think when I met someone like Francis, who was my age group and who was like kind of more serious with money, I don't know, it inspired me, I guess, and it challenged me a little bit too. And I think that's where we make a good team, because you challenged me to kind of like research, like, why was I spending so much money? It's ridiculous. But anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, and I think when you talk about the balance, just to add a little bit with your aunt giving you the tools, and I think sometimes if you really don't understand the concept,
Mm-hmm.
you can really not understand or know what you really have and what the information being given to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the main reasons why we wanted to do these roundups, because I think it gives everyone the backstory, the perspective in terms of where we're coming from. And having the tools does not necessarily mean you know how to use it either. That's because you really don't understand what the tools are and
Mm-hmm.
what um, is required to be able to make these tools work for you. So if you have all the tools and again you don't have, say, the discipline, you don't have the willpower to continue to do what is required, then it's pointless, you know. And I think we balance each other. And I think, talking about when we first met,
Mm-hmm.
I actually planned everything in terms of how I was going to save and get up there. Like everything was like literally planned for, you know, and that's how it was for me because, back to my money memory, if I didn't have it, then I couldn't do it, you know. I didn't grow up with credit cards, or I didn't even understand the main purpose of a credit card back then, you know. But I still knew that if I'm going to do something, I better be able to afford it because there's no one coming to help. I'm on my own here, you know. So I think that played a significant role, and I think our learning just took over from
Yeah.
there.
And so, like, the aha moment, I think, was obviously with us meeting.
Yeah.
I was a catalyst towards this journey. And then you kind of helped me transfer my debt into one place where I could keep my APR at zero for like 18 months or something. And then we started paying down the debt like aggressively, like throwing $700, $800 at it at a time, from like us working and stuff like that. And I think the moment that we really was like, okay, this is it, was we were planning a family vacation, and we had this last little bit of debt, and it was just like, let's just do it. Let's just use the money that's in our account, pay it off, take the savings, just wipe it. And we did that. And I remember you told me, like, okay, like, I have to trust you. Like, are you gonna keep your word in terms of like, A, not letting it get back up, but also B, just being better about money in terms of with the budget and like eating out and things like that. And I told you, like, yes, like, put us on a budget. I will follow it. And this conversation had happened time and time before. And the money conversation in a marriage can be very tricky, and we'll talk about that in another video. But it was something that was always a pain point for us. It just, you know, money is one of the top 3 reasons. One of them is money, and it causes divorce. And it's because people cannot communicate their perception about money the same,
Mhm.
period, because we didn't have the same experiences with money. And so it was a great source of like pain for us. So talking about money, it was either we didn't really talk about it, or like he felt like he couldn't talk about it to me, and I felt like I was bad with money, and just all of these things. And so finally, when we paid off that debt and you asked me, can you trust me? I think that was a really big moment for me, because it was like, okay, all right, I'm in the game. Like, okay, like this is it. This is my moment to like show him like I can do this. And we did do it. We paid it off. And that was as of May 2018.
Yeah, just about that
And
time.
it was like, all right, I'm free from it. It wasn't like a glamorous feeling, but at the same time, it was like, I'm done. Like, it was glamorous in the sense of I was done with that part of life. And so, why did we choose this journey? Like, why financial independence? Why debt free community? Like, why are we choosing to be free financially? You know what I mean? And I think our choice is we know the life that we want to live. And in order to live that life, you can't really have debt. You have to be able to be flexible. And that's the thing, right? Money allows you the flexibility to live how you want. Do I want to go to work today? Maybe, maybe not. Like, I don't have to go to work if I don't want to go to work. I mean, I have to go to work now, but what I'm saying is, when we get to that point, like, I could choose, like, you know what, I don't want to go to work this week, and I can be okay with that. And so, I think for us, that's why we are choosing this journey. um and so, but we had to start somewhere, and the root is the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And the root is the money memory. What did I see as a child that helped to form the habits that I have now? And, it played out perfectly in our lives. It's so interesting how I've really seen that come to pass. And I'm so happy that we're finally on the same page
Yeah.
after some time, sorry, but finally on the same page. So,
Yeah, and I think when Rihanna says the flexibility to do whatever you want, and with this family trip that sort of pushed us over the edge to pay off this debt was finally like we got to look in the mirror and like, wait, but why can't we go to that? Like, this is family, you know, like why do we even have to think about the fact that we couldn't even go, and that's because of money, you know. And
Yeah.
so we realized, yeah, it's a powerful tool, and how we wield it is very, very important
Mm-hmm.
in the choices we get to make, because we have that flexibility, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I think that was a aha moment. And when she talks about, when I said, I mean, are we really going to do this? And I mean, I'm trusting you, because at that point I was okay with it, but I also didn't trust our system enough that we were not going to get it again. And I'm being
Yeah.
honest,
Yeah.
um, I was scared as well, you know. And that all is rooted in my money memory. Like, okay, do we really want to do this? Because yeah, we have the savings for it, but like we were playing a system to like not pay the interest on it, and like doing the balance transfers and stuff. And so we played around it where we didn't have to pay the interest.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, okay, now with the little savings we had, supposedly our emergency fund, now we had to just take all of it to put it into this debt. And then now think about, okay, how we're going to pay for the trip. We knew how we're going to pay for it. That was already done, but it was just a feeling that, so wait, we don't have any emergency fund anymore, you
Right.
know. And are we going to be able to keep afloat and not like sink anymore in
Mm-hmm.
terms of debt? And so that was huge. And I think after that conversation, and when we came back from the trip, and I think within less than 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
we had a significant amount of money in the bank,
Yeah.
actually. And so I think that was huge, because there was a challenge thrown, and Rihanna loves challenges. I love challenges.
Yes.
And Rihanna's challenge is based on her personality and who she is. I mean, she's a Leo, so if you throw it down, she's going to want to prove to you. And so I think I used a little bit of that in terms of, well, you made a decision and I trusted you on it for us to get off this. So, like, are you really going to make a sink? And of course, she didn't want a bad rep, you know.
Right.
So
Because
that
Leos
really
are
helped.
prideful.
Yeah.
Leos are prideful, and I didn't want to fail at that because I was telling someone like you can trust me with this thing.
Yeah.
And based on how it had gone before, like you had tried to set up budgets before, we had tried to follow it before, but it just wasn't sticking. And finally, I for some reason this one time it just stuck, and it was like I think it's because like you sat down and you was like, can I trust you? And it's not that you don't trust me, but it was like we were making a move, and it was like, sis, can I trust you?
Yeah.
And so I recognized the seriousness of what you were giving to me, which was your trust in me to follow, you know, the system and really build and save and actually budget and follow the budget and follow the lists when we go to the store and just the whole nine. But we'll talk more about that in a separate video, just in terms of ways in which we started creating the system that we are following. And so we'll talk about that more in another video. But it was so great to just kind of come on here and just have a conversation with you guys. We're going to try to do this every time we drop a blog. We're going to do like a roundup of what we've talked about in the blog. And we're just going to go more in depth with our thoughts on it and kind of hear some feedback from you guys and see what things are on your mind, if there's any questions that you may have. So thanks so much for listening, guys. We appreciate it. And we just hope that you enjoy our journey as you begin your journey, right? Right. All right. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.